Hi guys, I hope you're all well and having a wonderful day. As you can see, new desk, new space, and I really hope the lighting is okay. I'm definitely in experimentation mode at the moment, so let's see how we go. I thought today we would talk about beginner-friendly fountain pens as someone who is definitely a fountain pen beginner. I have had a few people ask me about my collection, and this is pretty much the gist of it. And as you can see, I have some very cheap fountain pens, and I have some very expensive fountain pens. So let's get into it. I have had a lot of questions regarding what fountain pens I like and why. And I thought I would just take you through all the ones I have and their differences and what works best for me so you can make an informed decision before you purchase your own pen. The fountain pen I did originally start with, just move these over, was this Lamy, which I actually didn't love. I know a lot of people do love Lamy fountain pens, and I do understand why, but for me, it just wasn't love at first sight, I suppose, or love at first right, I guess I should say. It's an okay pen. I think this is Safari. It's just a medium fine nib, and it is just their base model. And I just bought this because it was on the cheap side. I think it was about $40, and I wanted to see how I would like it. And I bought this pen, and then I did not buy another for a long time because it just didn't do it for me. And I guess if fountain pens is something that you're wanting to get into, this is probably not the pen I would go with. Some people would disagree, but this just didn't work for me. The second fountain pens I bought, because again, I didn't want to spend a lot of money, the Jinhaos. I can't remember the name of these guys. I just liked them because one was small and pink and one was purple and blue. These pens, some people have really good success with them, other people don't. I find that these pens often give me hard starts. So what that means is that, see how they don't necessarily write properly? So, and there's a lot of, as you can see, it'll just stop with the ink. So the ink flow kind of sucks. And again, this wasn't a good option for me as a beginner pen because I wanted something that would just write. Again, even in, because that is a medium nib. This is a fine nib. And I even found this sometimes had issues, and I did fiddle with the nib and make sure it was aligned. And what actually got this one working well for me was cleaning it with a alcohol wipe. But it's not like, it's an okay pen. I would say it's like the Bic of fountain pens, and please don't come at me for my opinion, but that's just how I feel. So as someone who's starting with fountain pens, this is not something I would go with. I would start with a Kakuno. I have two. This one, I've just noticed this one is out of ink. This pen, literally right out of the box, you can just chuck a nib in it, a cartridge in it, and it writes beautifully. I chose to get the converters because by the time I had bought a Kakuno, I had already had a few fountain pens and I was used to having pens with converters. These are just, no matter how you write with them, you can leave it for a couple of weeks, not touch it, and then pick it up and it will just write like you wrote with it yesterday, which is what I really like about these. I do find the fine is a little bit scratchy for me, but I find the fine is scratchy in pretty much any brand of fountain pen I've ever used. So I prefer the medium, which I wish I had re-inked so you could see what I mean. But the medium is great and it's really nice and smooth. And I actually consider the medium pretty close to the Sailor Pro gear in the slim. it just writes really, really nicely and really, really smoothly. It's not something that you'll notice as you get more fountain pens. You'll be able to tell the difference. Not all fountain pens are the same. That's something that I picked up really, really quickly. Next, I got the Lamy before I got the Kakunos. The Lamy is another great starter fountain pen. So I think the Kakunos or the Lamy are a great place to start. This is excellent because you don't have to concern yourself with cartridges or converters. It is literally a vacuum fill. So this pops up and it goes up and down like you would a syringe, and it fills really well, and it's got really nice sized inkwell, which I do appreciate. This is I believe this is a medium. I can't really tell. I'm going blind in my old age. And again, I've never had any issues with how it writes. It's a pen that I cannot touch for ages, and it will always write really well. And I think that's something to consider when you do get your first fountain pen. You do want something you can just pick up. I do see a lot of videos on YouTube where people are literally pulling their fountain pens apart to completely clean them. That's not something I want to do. I don't want to have to worry about that. I just want to be able to enjoy my fountain pen. Then, obviously, after you start getting used and enjoying your beginner fountain pens, you kind of start going for your other fountain pens. And for me, I really, really like the Kaweco fountain pens. I think they're an excellent pen. They're all write really well. I have 2 medium nibs and a fine nib. This is probably the one that gets used the most. I love it. It's so sturdy and versatile. And again, this is a pen that very rarely has ever given me any hard starts. I can leave it for months, and I often do, and it will always write really well. And I think that's something that's important to me in a fountain pen, because I don't always want to be inking and re-inking and fiddling with them. I just want something I can pull out and write with. And I know the idea of a fountain pen is, yeah, they're going to be a little bit fiddly, but overly fiddly is just going to waste your time. So that is a medium, and I believe this guy is a fine. If it's not, it's the other one. Yeah. And again, see, I haven't really used this in weeks, but it just writes beautifully. So another good beginner fountain pen, and these come in so many colors, and they've always got limited editions, and they're actually a little bit addictive, to be honest, the Kaweco pens. I find them addictive because there's always something new. At the moment, they've got a beautiful Lunar series, which is just lovely, but then they've also brought out an amazing pink that I keep telling myself I do not need, and I just have to scroll on past it. Then, if you want something a little bit different or a little bit thicker, there is a 1-to-1 stub nib, which was suggested to me by Aggro Monk, and I really, really love this. I like it for headings. I like it because it's chunky. I like it because as soon as I write with it, it makes my handwriting just feel so much nicer. And it's just a beauty to write with. It gives you so much feedback when you write with it. And I never really understood what people meant when they said a pen gave them feedback until I wrote with this Eco. And this was $60. It wasn't even expensive, and it's a pen I'm always reaching for. I've got Edelstein's Pyrite in it, and it's just such a nice pen. It's just really, really nice. This is a good pen as your first. Not maybe as your first, but as you go into fountain pens and you start to want something a little bit different, this would be the nib that I go for in a TWSBI. I never understood the joy of TWSBIs until I had one, and the same goes with Kakunos. I never understood the joy behind them and how great they are until I had one. Now we get to fountain pens, which are a little bit more expensive. This is a Sailor 30th year anniversary. This was about the $65 mark. So actually this one wasn't expensive, but I like the nib because it's a food demand nib, which actually means it's just got a little notch at the end of it there. It's kicked up. And the reason being, it's meant to be quite similar to how you'd write with a calligraphy actual brush. And I do see the similarities. I mean, of course, it's not exactly like writing with a brush, but it's still quite nice to write with. I don't use this often, This one I bought out of FOMO, so I don't really use as much, and I just use a cartridge in it because it's not something I go for all the time. And if it's not a pen I'm using all the time, a cartridge will do. And then we get to the pens that are expensive, but these are the ones I pretty much do use every single day. So this is a Pilot Custom 823, and as you can see, it's a demonstrator model in amber. This was my first really big girl pen that I bought. I made the mistake at the time of buying it in a fine nib because I thought I wanted it to be grown up, but it turns out I don't like fine nibs all that much. I prefer a medium nib to write with. I do love this pen. I've got it inked up with Robert Oster's Brandy. With this pen, you need to twist the top out a little bit to make sure there's airflow so the ink will run smoothly. And I will show you how it writes. This pen does give a lot of feedback, and it is scratchy. It's not horribly scratchy like a Jinhao, for example. It's like comparing, you know, a Gucci shoe to a Kmart sandal. So it's not the same. The feedback is, and the scratchiness is actually nice. I enjoy writing with it. And I do write with this every day in my Joy Journal. This is the pen I use in my Joy Journal. And it is expensive. It's about the $400 mark. It's an investment pen, right? This is the pen that I'm going to leave to my children, one of the pens that I'm going to leave to my children. And I really do enjoy writing with it. Then we have the Sailor Pro Gear. This I bought on a whim just because I loved how beautiful it was. It's such a lovely pen to write with, and obviously this is again about the $500 mark. So it is an expensive pen. It's an investment pen. It's a pen I do use every day, or almost every day again. This pen is a joy to write with. It is smooth. The ink I've just got a cartridge in it and at the moment, and it's just beautifully wet. I love Sailor ink. It's beautiful, and writing with it actually makes me happy. And because it's light, it fits really comfortably in my hand, and I don't feel the need to post it because I don't really like posting my pens. One thing I do find is that if I post, the pen gets a little bit heavy in my hand and it causes a little bit of strain in my wrists. The pen that does that the most is definitely this guy, because he's heavy. He's heavy even compared to these guys. Like he's a chunky boy. I mean, the size is not really that different, but he's a big chunky boy. So if you, like me, find your wrists get sore from writing too much, I wouldn't recommend this pen. Next are my Grail pens. I was only meant to buy one, but I have ADHD and wins. So I have two Sailor Century 3776s. These were my Grail pens. These are my Grail pens. And I have to admit, from now on, when I buy pens, instead of buying willy-nilly pens, I think I'm just going to buy these because I adore them. I have a fine and a medium. They are both a joy to write with. They are both very different from one another, but they're wonderful. So this is the Century Platinum 3776 in Nice Lavande, which is just the color lavender. It's a beautiful pen. I love it. It is actually very nice to write with. This would be a medium, and I think I've got it inked up with Sailor Kuri, which is a chestnut colored. I love this pen. It's light in my hand, and it's just a joyful experience. I've never had a bad writing experience with this pen, and it does well on pretty much any paper. So whether I'm using just MD paper like I am now, or I'm using Tomoe River paper, this pen always does really, really well. And I think it's the reason I want only these pens. I like these guys, but I really love these guys. They're an investment pen. I mean, between the $600 to $900 mark, if not more. It's not a pen that you're buying every week. It's a pen you're buying every now and then. And I also have it in the Kinogumo, which is a special edition, limited edition. I think this is only one of 1,500. I really, really like this whole collection. And one thing I do want to do is collect the whole Fuji range. And then I'll retire my pen collection. I'll just be happy with what I've got, or so I tell myself. I think I'm addicted to the pens more than I'm addicted to the inks. I enjoy the inks, but I like the pens more. So this is a fine, and I've got a Teranishi gentle green in it at the moment. I know a lot of people like to match their pens and their ink. I don't really care. This in a fine writes beautifully. I find that it's not anywhere near as scratchy as the Pilot, for example. And I know a lot of people love the Pilot as a pen. It's very much a Grail pen, but for me, the Platinum is just a nicer pen. And if I had to really put them in order, it'll be a medium Platinum, a fine Platinum, the medium Sailor, and then, don't come at me, it would be the Pro Gear. It would be the 823, the Pilot 823. So that is how I would rate those, like those top tier, top end pens. And again, if I was to go through my starter pens, it would definitely be the Kakuno medium, Kakuno fine, Twisby, Sailor, Lamy, and then the Jinhao pens at the end. These guys, I couldn't really put in order because these are the same. They're beautiful to write with, and this is a 1.1 stub, so you can't really compare them. They all just do well. So yeah, there you go. I hope this has given everybody a little bit of an insight into fountain pens and their differences. So when you come to buying your first fountain pen, or you want to get into fountain pens, this is beginner advice from a beginner fountain pen enthusiast. So I hope it helps, and if you have any questions, please ask me. You can always message me on Instagram. I will reply. I will always reply. So have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.